Welcome back. As we look ahead to loosened restrictions on retail outlets, what can be done to maximize safety so that customers feel confident and thus businesses can stay afloat? Joining me to talk about it are the proprietors of 3 small Michigan businesses. Bill Golden, up there in the upper left-hand corner, owns Golden Shoes up in Traverse City. Janet Webster Jones, to the right there, owns Source Booksellers in Midtown Detroit. And Rachel Lutz of the Detroit boutiques, the Peacock Room, FRIDA, and YAMA. And she appeared with the governor at her briefing this past week. Bill, if we could, I want to start with you because we don't hear enough from outstate. And I'm really curious as to, from Traverse City, as you look at the way that the whole state has responded, and Traverse City obviously hasn't had near as many cases as we've seen in Southeast Michigan, do you feel connected to what you're watching in the rest of the state and the orders that are going out, or do you feel like it's another world?
No, I mean, you feel connected because it's not just the state, it's everywhere. So,
yeah,
you know, you get that connection through there. The cases that we've had in Traverse City, Grand Traverse County is 23 cases and 6 deaths. All of them are tragic. You don't want any of that, you know, but we don't have the thousands and thousands like, you know, in Southeast Michigan, and Kent County is, I know it's been hit very hard lately too. In the surrounding area around, you know, with Antrim, Grand Traverse, and Leelanau and Benzie, you know, I don't even think we've had 50 cases.
Yeah. Different. Well, then let me start with the question for all of you to answer that I'm really curious about. And I'm wondering how eager each of you are to get your doors open again, in a hurry to do. Could you do it tomorrow if you could, or is it more of a wait and see approach? And Janet, let me start with you.
Well, we're really not eager. We've had 3 different incarnations of our bookstore, and this is the 4th one. It's called online sales. So we've turned the store almost into a warehouse now, and we've been doing online sales ever since the shutdown began. And I have to just comment too that this is a world pandemic.
Sure.
Everybody in the world is experiencing this, regardless of who you are or where you are. So I like to say that we're all at zero and a start over time again. It's an opportunity to start over and to begin anew. But we are going to open gradually, and we're going to do it slowly. We're going to do it softly. And my idea is to do it as kindly as we can to our customers, because I do not want a feeling of fear, or if you touch anything, something's going to happen to you, or guardedness. I want to create in that a community spirit, which we have tried to maintain throughout the years we've been here in Midtown Detroit, this is our 18th year. And so that's my approach. Now, how we'll do it, we'll take the precautions that we've been asked to do. We'll have sanitizing materials. We'll have, I've decided we'll have lovely cotton gloves for some people. I'm going to have a bit of a soft opening for people who have been extremely generous to the store from the very beginning of the shuttered doors.
Yeah.
And they're going to have an invited time to browse individually the weekend of May. And then somewhere in June, we're going to have some more soft openings where we'll have invitations, but we're not going to fling open the doors and say, everybody come on in right now.
I'm hearing a yellow light from you. Let me move to let me move to Rachel. Rachel,
do it all.
Rachel, same question then. Where would you put your level of eagerness at getting back? And by the way, I should also mention you've had a bit of success moving things online as well. But where are you on your eagerness to get the doors back open?
So I'm very eager to get back to business. I'm not so eager to reopen to the public just yet, and I think that those can be 2 very different things. Every retail store is different. We are in different neighborhoods, we have different demographics, different types of merchandise, but we're really, like my store at the Peacock Room, our first and foremost priority is safety. So when I feel that it is safe to reopen our doors to the public, and I feel confident in the steps that we're going to be taking to mitigate those risks, that's when I will reopen. Even if the governor said tomorrow we could reopen all of retail in Michigan, that doesn't necessarily mean that every store is ready to reopen, or that frankly we want to reopen to the public just yet. As Janet was starting to say, this is not just an opportunity, it's a forced opportunity. So this is really, this has been very financially devastating for me. I don't really have a safety net. I have not gotten my PPP dollars. It's really, this is dire financially, but I need a neighborhood to come back to. I need customers to come back to, and I need employees to feel safe coming back and interacting with the public. And until I get those things, I'm not prepared to reopen my doors to the public.
Yeah. Bill, I'm curious, if you could open tomorrow, would you?
Yes, I am ready. Last week I had the carpet cleaners in. They cleaned the carpets. They did all the furniture, the cushioning. I have the sanitizers, gloves, masks for everybody. So I could open tomorrow. I would limit the number of people in, but I could open tomorrow.
I'm wondering whether or not you've had any success online. I know lots and lots of people buy shoes online nowadays. I don't love it. I want to be able to try on a pair of shoes. Have you been able to move much business online, Bill?
I do have a website. We don't sell online, but all my product is on there, and people have been emailing me and calling, and we're doing curbside, we're doing deliveries, shipping, and I was doing it myself. Wednesday, I was so overwhelmed with it, I couldn't answer the phone and do the curbside. My daughter was making my deliveries for me. So starting yesterday, I bring in 2 people a day now to help me from 11 to 3. I come in earlier than that and get the emails, and if there's any messages, I go through that first, and then they come in at 11 o'clock. And so we've been advertising 11 to 3 for curbside pickup. Any questions you have, we're there to answer the phone. And like I said, a lot of emails and a lot of text messages.
Yeah.
I had my phone number put right out there. So if somebody needed something, they could text me.
I'm curious as to whether all of you are going to expect or desire that your customers who come in be wearing masks. Janet, do you want everybody in a mask, or will you let them decide?
I would like people to be conscious of that and to wear masks. If they don't, we'll have some paper masks here available for them, along with the gloves. We have the issue of books and people handling books.
Yeah.
So when we get to the place where people that we have not invited directly to come in, we're going to have places where people can put if they take a book off the shelf, they're going to put it down on a table, and we'll wipe it down, whatever we have to do after that. So yes, we are certainly going to treat this seriously. And we want people to have masks on, and we want them to have gloves on. So we will provide some gloves for them as well.
Rachel, we know there are some retailers who are really bristling at the idea of either demanding masks of the customers or of the sales associates. Where do you come in on the masks?
I don't like to use the word demanding, but no mask, no service within my doors once we do reopen to the public. If someone does not feel comfortable wearing a mask, I completely understand. I'm happy to help them curbside. We've been helping customers virtually. We can offer that to them as well. We have, as we call them, fairies that will, do a virtual shopping appointment with you. You tell us what you want. We'll FaceTime with you in the store. So yes, no mask, no service within our doors. We're still happy to serve. I think it's important for retailers to also understand a lot of us are feeling bullied or threatened by these few incidents of violence. And I think if you put it in perspective, millions of store visits in Michigan in the last several months, and there were a couple really tragic incidents of violence. I'm not intimidated by them. I will still be asking my customers to wear masks when they're in the store.
Bill, how about you?
I think most people now are comfortable wearing the mask. We will start out with everybody wearing the mask. Like right now, when we do curbside, we do go out with the mask, and so and I do have extras. I bought boxes of them, and so I think everybody's feeling pretty comfortable doing that now. Come July, when we get a lot more tourists, we'll have to see. But I think for starting out, we're definitely the mask. All my sales help knows that too.
Bill, in a tourist city, I'm curious as to what your expectations are of that summer crowd that generally is always a big part, I'm sure, of your business. We've seen the Cherry Festival canceled for this year. What are your worries about tourism season?
Well, I think that there's a lot of pent-up demand, so I believe people will be traveling by car. So I think we're really going to see that again. The airlines, people aren't going to be doing that, but I think the Ohio Chicago, St. Louis. We're going to continue to get that business. And for the downtown, what has been proposed is the 100 and 200 block, or the main 2 blocks, is blocking those off. So there'll be no traffic, car traffic. So you'll be able to move around more. Restaurants can bring out tables now because they're going to be down to 25% probably. So we're still going to be able to serve all those tourists.
Janet, Source is not a massive, not tons and tons of square feet. How do you expect that you'll have to sort of arrange customers and make sure that everybody is behaving in a mannered and respectful way of the other customers?
Yes, well, we are under 900 square feet, so we don't have many feet to use for six feet separation.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking that we'll have small numbers coming in. We're not going to just have masses in anyway, and maybe we can control that somewhat by people having an appointment, perhaps, or you calling and taking the number. I'm not altogether sure as to how that will go, but I know we do have to limit the number of people that are inside at any one time. And I'm glad we heard about Traverse City and their tourists. We have a lot of people coming in here, and I think Rachel does too, from other places as a destination as they come. If they decide to travel, frequently they look for a bookstore. And because it's a kind of a neutral place and a welcoming place, and it helps like that. So hopefully we will have a few of those people, but we're going to have to limit when they come. I am thinking about having open doors part of the week and the other part of the week doing our online sales. I don't quite know yet because every day things get revealed as to what's best. So we have to wait and see what the store asks and what the people wish. So
I've just got a couple of seconds left here, Rachel. We'll let you have the last word on, do you expect to get pretty explicit guidelines from the governor and from the state, or do you feel like you're kind of left on your own here to figure it out?
I'm primarily following the CDC guidelines, which I hope the governor is as well. So I'm looking first to the CDC and the medical community's guidelines. Then I, as a retailer, will look at what the state is telling me, what I am and am not allowed to do. And then I'll decide within my own judgment, honestly. This is very dangerous. There are creative ways that we can start selling. We've been doing these amazingly successful Facebook Lives. I'm actually doing a virtual book party with Janet in a week, and we're doing it outdoors on her sidewalk, so that I don't even have to be in the store. So this is a great time for retailers to start getting creative. And
I really appreciate all of the thoughtfulness that you all have put into this. Thank you so much for being here, and best of luck moving forward. Appreciate the conversation. We'll wrap it up for Flashpoint right after this.